Hello and welcome to Hops and Bros. This week,
We're kind of craft, not craft, independent, not independent.
For an open window on a craft beer world, Max and Chris from Ups and Brews. Ups and Brews. Welcome to Ups and Brews.
so if you guys have been watching this show for a little while, we've been doing this stuff for, 4 years now?
Yeah,
It's way,
I always
too,
say
way
five.
too long.
I've
Yeah.
been saying 5 for the last 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for a very long time, and you probably know that our focus is mainly craft brewers,
Exactly.
craft beers in general. But if you're new to this wonderful world of craft beer, you might have realized that people are calling it a lot of different things. It's not just craft. Some people might call it micro, or a new term that came to be recently is independent craft breweries.
But the real question is, did it really came to be naturally, or we had to force that into the market because craft really doesn't mean anything now?
And I think the debate kind of starts with the macros, or the bigger breweries like Molson, Labatt, and Sleeman buying out smaller breweries and still calling them craft. Mill Street is technically itself, in the four walls they have, craft, but they're owned by a bigger guy. That's why a lot of people have brought the new term independent craft brewery, because that's what people really want to know. Are you part of the big guys, or are you your own independent thing?
Because it's a lot more representative from the business that you currently own. You have your own budget behind it, marketing wise, your team selling the beer, it's all in-house. Compared to if you look at AB and Bev and all the bigger ones, Molson, they have big teams of reps, big teams of production, big teams in marketing, and it's all there. It's big money backing up, yes, a craft brewery in itself, in the building itself, but again, backed up with those very big macro pockets.
So at that point, there's a debate to be had of, is this a craft brewery or not? And the definition is very, very vague. That's why in Canada we've been using micro and macro a little more, and even nano at some points. But it is quite reserved to the Canadian lexicon at this point, and I think mostly in the Eastern Ontario, Quebec area, where because of the French background, microbrasserie is a lot better than brasserie artisanale.
Yeah, it represents a lot. But again, when we sat down to talk a bit more about this video before recording it, because we always do a rehearsal, we came along saying that yes, like a brewery like à la feu, the name is microbrasserie à la feu, so microbrewery is in the name, but is it really micro because they're now a lot bigger than they're used to? So do you change your name or your how do you say that? In French it's nomenclature, but it's just
A nomenclature.
No, for real?
Yeah.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Do you change your nomenclature according to the size of your business or the size of your brewery? I don't think so.
Legally, you have to. So there is a set amount of hectoliters you brew a year that is going to land you into a specific tax bracket, which will later represent if you're considered a nano, a micro, or a macro.
Okay.
Now that the craft beer industry is it's cemented in place, and breweries are getting bigger and bigger, they're going from micro to macro at this point, where a smaller operation has grown through the years and is now producing the amount of beer that a bigger brewery would produce, therefore changing its terminology, changing from micro to macro. But those breweries are still technically independent.
Yes, they are.
Which is where the new terminology that came up at first in the States, I want to say, and then made its way here,
which was
is interesting.
Very controversial when it came out, because they call it the BA, so the Brewers Association in the US, was kind of like roaming around the terms and the definition behind what's a craft brewer or a
microbrewery.
or a microbrewery. But again, always incorporating in those terms or in those criterias Samuel Adams
Oh, right.
as they were growing.
Yeah, because they're huge.
Exactly.
They are technically the size of a macro, or at least close to.
And they want to keep them in the BA. So it creates some sort of very weird...
But they are technically an independent craft brewery.
Yeah, at like 49.9%.
Yeah.
You see
Interesting.
See where it's getting?
Where it gets
like,
a little complicated
I think
in dealing with all that.
If you're always fighting with words that way, it still doesn't represent really what it is. Yes, you can be independent at 51%.
Yeah.
But yeah, technically you're still independent, but literally 49% of your business is owned by bigger breweries.
So I guess at this point, and we've been talking about this for a while on the channel, it's about being transparent. If you are owned by the big guys, if you're owned by some other corporation, which is not technically a mom and pop corporation, it's important to let the folks know, because they will find out one way or the other. I always laugh when I go to a restaurant and I look at the craft beer selection, and it's Mill Street, it's Goose Island, it's Shock Top, and I'm like, those are not craft breweries. They're non-microbreweries. They are macros.
Is when you ask, like, just, I've never tried this beer, and they're like, oh yeah, Goose Island's a little brewery out of Chicago, and you're like, yeah.
So it's all about transparency. I like the concept of independent craft brewery. I think it's a little closer to what I want in a brewery, which is a small group of ragtag rebels sticking it to the man and creating their own thing, which I think is the beauty of the craft beer industry, or I guess the independent craft beer industry.
And speaking of sticking it to the man, the Brewer Association in the US created their own independent seal, which Canada just followed up lately. So I'm speaking of that because the latest cans that we received from Alafu, they have fresh new labels, and they are sporting that brand new independent. Maybe we can like showcase it, like overlay here.
That's probably a better idea than trying to. Anyways,
to showcase it here. But this is brand new. So if you're a beer shopper out there in Canada or in the US, in the US you probably already saw the logo, but in Canada it's brand new. Like they are launching it in 2020. Look out for this logo. It represents that they are part of the Brewers Association here in Canada, and they are qualified as an independent craft brewer here in Canada,
which is phenomenal. I want to see more of this, and it's I like the beer organizations from time to time. I think they do some good for the craft breweries, but I think this is right on the product as you're shopping. You see it, you know exactly what that brewery stands for, and try to support it. I know I will. I'm going to be looking out for it for sure.
I think that there's a lot of people kind of like bashing on it because they say that don't really need it. Like customers don't care about it, but I think it does represent something at one point. Some customers won't look at it, but it's the same way saying you're organic.
Exactly. Any small thing like organic, great example. As a consumer, when you have to decide between two products, a small thing can tip for one or the other. And I know for a while, organic, even for me, it got me. If I had a lug shred versus another Kolsch in my hand, I would go for the lug shred because I'm like, organic, it's probably better. Not really. It's just the ingredients that they use in that beer that are organic, but it doesn't really change much anyways. But it will change the buyer's perspective. And I think one of those little symbols will as well. Exactly. If someone can be assured that it is independent and it's not part of the big guys, it might be that decision maker, that factor that's going to help with the decision.
And it supports a local business here. Not a company that bought a smaller one that's taking the profit and investing it somewhere else in the world.
So you're basically supporting someone's dream. And dreams...
And maybe your neighbor.
Or maybe your neighbor's dream. Maybe your own dream. Dreams are what make us sleep at night.
Yeah.
If you like the video, please leave a like, subscribe, share, and let us know if this symbol, if the concept of independent craft brewery is something that you're down with or not. Do you think it's important?
Yeah.
Think it's not important? Let's start talking about it in the comments down there.
Should we keep it or should we dump it?
That's it's taking beer terms. Should you drink the beer or dump the beer? I like it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Down the drain or
Down the drain.
up your gut?
Cheers, Chris. It's been a while since we've done one of these together.
I know.
Yeah, it was great.
And you guys are lucky. You're gonna get two weeks of me and Max videos.
Don't make promises that we haven't done.
I know.
Yet.
Hopefully you didn't make it that far. Every single time we say that, someone says, "Yeah, I made it that far."
Yeah, it's true. Let's see.
Cheers to you.